You're not bad with money. You're not irresponsible. You're not even uniquely stupid about financial decisions. What you are is trapped in a system that's specifically engineered to make debt feel normal. And until you see that system clearly, you're going to keep making the same decisions that keep you broke. Here's what nobody tells you about credit card debt. It doesn't feel like a problem. That's the actual trap. If it felt terrible, you'd fix it immediately. But it doesn't. You charge $500 on a card, pay the minimum, and life goes on. Your statement arrives, you see the balance, you think, I'll pay it down next month. And you move forward. This happens month after month, and somewhere along the way, that $500 becomes $5,000. Then $10,000. And you're still not panicking because it's become so normalized that it just feels like the cost of living. The average American is carrying $6,000 to $8,000 in credit card debt right now. Not hypothetically. Actually, that's the median. And here's the disturbing part. Most of those people don't think of it as a crisis. They think of it as normal. It's how you survive. You don't have the cash, so you use the card. The card covers the gap. The gap never closes. And somehow, this is just life. But I want you to sit with something uncomfortable for a second. That debt isn't just a balance on a statement. It's an invisible tax on your future. And the reason you don't feel that tax is because it works slowly, compounding day by day in the background, while you're distracted with just surviving today. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Say you're carrying $8,000 in credit card debt at 18% APR, which is roughly the national average. That's not a number I'm making up. That's what credit cards actually charge right now. Do you know what 18% actually means in dollars? That's $1,440 per year in interest alone. Every single year, just for the privilege of owing the money, you're sending $120 per month to a credit card company that you will never see again. That money doesn't buy you anything. It doesn't move you closer to any goal. It just evaporates. Now let's zoom out. If you're only paying the minimum on that $8,000 balance, you're paying roughly $200 per month. Here's the sick part. Of that $200, about $120 goes to interest. That means only $80 is actually reducing your balance. So you're paying $120 to stay exactly where you are and $80 to barely move forward. At that pace, it takes you roughly 5 years to pay off that $8,000. But here's the math that breaks people. Over those 5 years, you've paid roughly $12,000 total. You borrowed $8,000 and paid back $12,000. That extra $4,000 is pure wealth transfer from your bank account to Visa. Think about what else that $4,000 could have been. If you'd invested it instead of handing it to a credit card company, at 8% annual return, that $4,000 would be worth $5,866 in 5 years. The difference between paying credit card interest and investing is not $4,000. It's closer to $10,000 when you factor in what you could have built. That's the real cost nobody talks about. But here's where the story gets worse, and this is the part that destroys most people's timelines to wealth. The reason credit card debt feels normal is because society has normalized it. Your parents had it, your friends have it. Everyone you know is doing it. Financial institutions spend billions making you comfortable with the idea that carrying a balance is just how you live. The credit card company sends you a statement showing your minimum payment. Just pay this tiny number and you're fine. You're being a responsible person. That framing is a lie. Here's the reality. Credit card companies don't want you to pay off your balance. They want you to pay the minimum forever. The math works out perfectly for them. They get to charge you 18% on money they're not even using anymore. It's free money, and they've structured the entire system so you feel like you're winning when you're actually losing. The Federal Reserve tracks this data, and what they found is disturbing. Americans carrying credit card balances are paying an average of $1,200 per year in interest across all their cards. That's $100 per month that just disappears. Over a decade, that's $12,000. Over your working life, that could be $100,000 or more. And most people never even notice because the interest is spread across months and buried in the minimum payment. Now I'm going to show you the psychological trap that keeps people stuck. When you carry credit card debt, something shifts in how you think about money. You stop thinking about building anything. You start thinking about surviving. Your entire financial mindset becomes defensive instead of offensive. You're not thinking about investment opportunities. You're thinking about whether you can afford next month's payment. This is called scarcity mindset, and it's the primary reason people stay broke. When your brain is focused on a threat, it literally cannot think strategically. You make worse decisions. You miss opportunities. You rationalize expensive choices because you've already accepted that money is tight. Here's a real example. You're carrying $6,000 in credit card debt at 19% interest. Your company offers a raise of $400 per month. You should put all of that toward the debt, right? That would accelerate the payoff by years. But instead, most people think, finally, some breathing room. And that raise becomes a lifestyle increase. New apartment, nicer car, more dining out. The debt stays exactly the same. The raise disappears, and you've wasted an opportunity that probably won't come again. This happens because scarcity mindset doesn't recognize opportunities. It just recognizes relief. You got some breathing room, so you bought more comfort instead of using it to escape the trap. The credit card companies are counting on this exact behavior. They know that once you're used to living with debt, you'll defend that lifestyle with a raise instead of using it to break free. But here's the uncomfortable question. When's the last time you actually did the math on your credit card debt? Not the minimum payment. The actual cost. How many years until it's paid off at your current pace? How much total interest will you pay? What could that money have been instead? Most people won't do this math because they don't want to know. The number is scary. But avoiding it doesn't make it less real. It just makes you less aware of what's actually happening to your financial future. Let me show you a comparison that changes everything. You're 28 years old. You have two scenarios. Scenario A, you're carrying $7,000 in credit card debt at 18% APR. You pay the minimum of $175 per month. You also have $200 per month you could direct toward wealth building, but instead, you're too stressed about the debt to think about investing. Scenario B, you take 4 months of aggressive action. You cut expenses, pick up a side hustle, whatever it takes. You throw $4,000 at the credit card debt immediately. You pay off the remaining $3,000 over the next few months. You're debt-free at 28.5. That $200 per month you were going to struggle with now goes into index funds. Fast forward to 65. Scenario A, you're finally paid off at around 45 or 50, depending on how your behavior evolves. By 65, you've invested roughly $150,000 over 15 years. At 8% returns, that's approximately $430,000. Scenario B, you've been investing that $200 per month plus additional money that was going to interest for 37 years. Same 8% returns. You're sitting on roughly $2.1 million. The difference between being debt-free at 28 and being debt-free at 45 is $1.67 million. That's not hyperbole. That's compound interest working in reverse when you're paying interest, and then working forward once you're free. This is the timeline destruction nobody talks about. It's not that the debt itself is the problem. It's that the debt delays the point at which you can start compounding wealth. And every year you wait costs you exponentially more in the future. So here's the system that actually works to break free. First, you have to see the debt clearly. Write down every credit card balance, every APR, every minimum payment. Look at the total interest you're paying per month across all cards. Don't shy away from the number. This is reality. Most people have never actually looked at this honestly. Once you do, it changes something. Second, you need to understand that minimum payments are a trap designed to keep you paying as long as possible. The credit card company has calculated the minimum to maximize the total interest you'll pay while making it seem achievable. Stop paying minimums. Instead, calculate what it would take to pay off each card in 12 months or less. If that's not possible with your current income, you need to either cut expenses or increase income. There's no third option. Third, use the avalanche method. Pay minimums on everything except the highest interest card. Throw every extra dollar at that card. Once it's paid off, take that payment amount and add it to the next highest interest card. This method is mathematically superior because you're eliminating the most expensive debt first. The psychological wins compound as each card gets eliminated. Fourth, while you're paying this down, you have to address the behavior that created the debt in the first place. Most credit card debt isn't from emergencies. It's from lifestyles spending slightly exceeding income. You need to find that gap and close it. Not temporarily. Permanently. That means cutting something you don't want to cut. A subscription, a frequency, an expectation. This is uncomfortable, which is why most people don't do it. Fifth, once you're debt-free, you automate the prevention. You set up your banking so that you can't carry a balance. Some people delete their credit cards entirely. Others move to debit only. Others keep one card for points but set up automatic payment of the full balance every month. The specific system doesn't matter. What matters is removing the option to go backward. Here's what actually changes when you're debt-free. Your monthly cash flow changes immediately. That $175 minimum payment you were making? That's now available for wealth building. But here's what actually shifts psychologically. You stop thinking defensively. You're no longer in survival mode. Suddenly, investment opportunities start looking possible instead of impossible. That raise? Now it's a legitimate decision about where to deploy it. A side income opportunity? You can actually consider it instead of dismissing it as too much work when you're already stretched. The people I've watched who went from carrying debt to building wealth didn't change their income overnight. They changed their psychology. They stopped playing defense and started playing offense. And that shift only happens once the debt is genuinely gone. Here's the final piece. Debt doesn't just cost you money. It costs you options. It costs you the ability to walk away from a bad situation. It costs you the capital to take smart risks. It costs you the freedom to make decisions based on what you actually want instead of what you have to do. The debt-free version of you can negotiate harder at work because you're not desperate. You can change careers because you have runway. You can invest in opportunities because you have capital. You can sleep at night because you're not paying $100 per month to a credit card company just for existing. So here's my question for you. You know the math now. You know what that debt is actually costing you. You know what's possible on the other side. What are you going to do with this information? Are you going to keep normalizing the debt because everyone else is carrying it? Or are you going to be the person who breaks the cycle? The timeline difference between starting today and starting in a year is genuinely significant. Every month you wait, you're giving the credit card company more of your future. The question isn't whether you can afford to pay this off. The question is whether you can afford not to. Stay disciplined. Let's finish what you started.